1 hour later.
Welcome! We seem to have a few issues with that last one, and that video has now been removed. Apparently, we managed to break Google Hangouts.
Yeah, but here we are.
How are you, my fellow hoodlings? Let's get down to the nitty and gritty, eh?
Okay. Oh yeah, now I can finally do my amazing intro thing. Gag. Okay. Working. What is up, Drama Alert Nation? I'm your host, LochNessMobster.
You're not the host, though.
Let's get right into the news. Okay, I'm gonna take this.
And this is why you've not been on my channel before. You got a lousy sense of humor, dude.
I'm Awesomeness Primal. Stop it. Get some help.
Optimus Primal, really?
Awesomeness Primal.
Okay, that's better.
I'm Awesomeness Primal. Stop it. Get some help.
Indeed. Well, we're finally gotten it up anyway, so that's
There
good.
Also, this beard will be available on Patreon.
Oh my god, that's the freaking thumbnail.
If you donate, you will receive this beard.
Loch. Stop it. Get some help.
They'll have to dig it out of the trash though.
I still can't believe your face is the freaking thumbnail as Keemstar Loch.
10 out of 10. I'm gonna pick this hat up.
Always the eternal meme.
Now I need some Gatorade to recoup all the energy I just...
I'm pretty sure I just lost about 200 brain cells. But oh well. So, hey Primal, want to tell us a little bit about the different characters in Undertale?
Oh sure, what do you want to know about him?
Well, for starters, you could start talking about what type of mythological creatures they have in it, and how that would be compared to general lore. Like, for example, Undine. What type of creature is she?
So, she's an anthropomorphic fish, and you can see by Mr. Loch Ness's face down there that she has quite a few fans, but it doesn't specifically say what type of fish. It can be assumed that she's some type of fish monster, but she shows a lot of heroism as well as aggressiveness, wanting to always do the right thing.
Mm-hmm. How would you say her personality is?
Very pretty much, I'm a hero, I'm going to heroically punch you in the face, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to light everything on fire.
Now, her personality and acting in the game Undertale, would you say that's coherent with how fish people, in lack of a better term, are portrayed in other mythologies?
It really all depends. Like, I've seen some renditions of Atlantis as like a bunch of warriors under the sea, and that could possibly be a correlation. But then you've also got underwater sea people who call themselves peaceful and only fight against other natural threats.
Which would be sharks?
Yeah, stuff like sharks.
Would you say she is to be compared to a mermaid, or would you say a different type of mythological fish person creature?
I'd say more, so I don't know a whole lot about the whole history of Atlantis, but I do know that...
And he just crashed.
I
don't know a lot about Atlantis, but I do know that just crashes. He'll be back. So I guess I will add that. Okay, this is something I just heard from the episode of Did You Know Gaming on Undertale, but Undine is actually like named after the Ondine, which is something out of I think Roman mythology. Basically, some sea woman person or something. I don't know much about it either. I do know that my OC character persona is heavily inspired, so that's cool.
How so?
Because I'm a fish person as well.
Would you like to talk about that?
I mean, that was kind of the only thing I kind of based off of it. Just, I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. I could make a persona kind of like that, except I'll change it heavily.
Oh, I wouldn't say it's only based off of Undyne. You do have the mobster part down.
Well, that was weird. Don't know what happened there.
Hey, he's back.
Either way, whatever happened, it made him go full screen only.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All everybody saw when he spoke was just him, not even my picture down in the corner. But yeah, you were saying about how you do know that, and then you went silent.
I mean, I don't know that much about the history of Atlantis, but I can assume that it is very similar to any other civilization. It's had its it's had its depressions, had trouble, has some sort of heroic figure pull them out. They've had their own share of warmongers, but a lot of it is fantasy, like Britain fantasy.
Britain fantasy?
I don't know too much about where it's from. Again, I don't know too much about Atlantis. I'm just making inferences here because a lot of civilizations have gone through similar things. So I'm.
Oh yes, for example, there are different recordings of mermaids all over the world. Actually, like the Little Mermaid is originally a Danish folk story, and there's been ancient drawings found both in South America, China, and Africa about mermaids. There's even been, you know those old caveman pictures on walls?
Mm-hmm.
There's even been found such pictures about humans fighting mermaids for territory in Africa.
That is very interesting.
Oh yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the warrior fish kind of goes back a ways.
Oh yes.
Especially when you get to some of the gods, and like Poseidon, for example, the god of the sea.
Yeah, I would actually put out the argument that on the same line that there's a lot of people on the earth believing in aliens, there could very well be a lot of people believing that the mermaids either are still or were previously an actual people.
Maybe they were aliens.
Maybe. Or I would put it on par with science fiction, though, since we have no definite proof.
Exactly.
Alien.
Like, it's just the same thing as saying that Obama or Trump are lizard people, basically. You don't have proof. It's hearsay.
It's just something to believe for no real reason.
But back to Undyne. Would you say she has a lovely personality?
She has two sides. She has her very tough side, which comes out when she's having to perform her job, but she has a very calm and caring heart. Like, for example, Papyrus, for example, he's a skeleton. He really wanted to join the Royal Guard, and she couldn't help but she couldn't help but want to feel a bit of something in her heart, seeing his dedication.
According to Death Hyrule, we also know that guy as Mask. He says Undyne seems very aggressive. Galactic Moonwolf, whom I know as Cord Squip, says mermaids could be mutated humans, and actually that's the thing. Mutation can be part of evolution.
X-Men,
No, I'm not thinking X-Men. I'm not going that far sci-fi. But basically, we've actually had kids being born with their legs kind of not really squished together, but born without them being a separate limb, as in both the legs are one limb, and had to have operation to have them separate limbs. Just like there's been people, twins, that's been born two heads on the same body. So it could very well be a mutated gene. Blue eyes, for example, were originally a mutated gene. Every single person that has blue eyes can be traced back to the same ancestor.
That is very interesting.
Yes. So it could very well be a mutation that then died out, or it could be an evolutionary trait that made us grow into two separate species.
Mm-hmm.
That does remind me
Whether
of,
mermaids are real or not, I won't go too far into.
Yeah.
There was like this Discovery Channel documentary that I heard that it was completely faked and was a complete parody, but a ton of people actually believed it, and it was like about mermaids and stuff, and talked about some secret government shit.
Oh, you're talking about that movie that's actually on YouTube. Let me see if I can find that and put the link in the chat box so that people can watch it at their own whim.
Yeah, it actually fooled like a ton of people into actually thinking that they were real. And there was like some...
Well, I found it, and that video is called Mermaids, the Body Found, Are Mermaids Real? It was a mermaid science fiction program. It can be debated whether it's a documentary, but it is listed as science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put that in the description later on, actually. Instead of the chat box, so that people can watch that after the stream.
Yeah.
Another game that has, I know, very different like lore of a mythical character, although it is greatly exaggerated for humor. A good one is from the game Manual Samuel.
Oh yeah, Manual Samuel, the rage game.
Yeah. Want me to talk about that a bit, maybe?
I haven't really played that game as of yet, so... And I don't really know if I'm even planning to play it. But I do know that Loch wanted to talk a little bit about Skyrim.
Oh, yeah,
but as you touched on Papyrus, let's talk a little bit more about skeletons first.
Skeletons. We all have one inside us, and a bunch of Undertale fangirls. Yeah, I'm not going to continue.
Want more?
Yeah, please don't continue that one. That can get lewd real fast.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, it
is October, and many people like to repost a viral video, scary spooky skeletons or whatever it was called.
Scary skeletons.
Yes.
A song that's been memed to death.
Oh yes, it's been a very popular song to, well, video basically to repost all over, and it has had many remakes. Mm-hmm. Now, a dancing skeleton isn't really what I find scary, but skeletons are very popular in video games.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the times, the interesting part is a lot of them are seen as villains. Like, Undertale is one of the few examples that show them as, like...
Potential good guys?
As a good guy, because, like, in games like, say, Minecraft, a lot of... I know, and a few Lego games I've seen... Like, a lot of the skeletons are seen as, like, enemies. Like, you don't see them as good people. You don't see them as helpful people. They're just a nuisance. They're undead, and, ooh, since it's undead, it's automatically evil because it's some sort of evil person raising the dead.
Oh, yeah. For example, the common perception of, well, perception isn't really the right word, but the common visualization about skeletons in armor being in armies that you have to mow down.
Yeah. In fact, I can't remember exactly, but like in Greek mythology, I'm not sure if it was like, I can't remember who it was, maybe Ares, I don't know, but someone was able to raise desecrated or deceased warriors, Spartans.
Yeah.
Can't remember who, but someone was able to do that. Can't remember exactly who, but that's just an example. Like, it's usually for villainous purposes, but then you've got an Undertale, someone who just wants to get into the Royal Guard just so that they can be recognized and have friends.
I do find it funny, though, how Undertale actually catches on to the typical perception of scary, evil skeletons being in an army, considering what is it that Papyrus actually really, really wants?
Friends.
He wants to, no, he wants to be in the guard. and have friends.
Yeah, he wants
But
to
he
respect.
wants to be in the guard. They actually touch upon the fact that scary skeletons that are evil are usually in a horde.
Mm-hmm. Yet, as far as we know, although Matt Pat likes to say otherwise, there are only 2 skeletons in the underground. That is not a theory. That is actually fact.
How is it fact?
I mean, unless you go into the game files, because, like, literally, there's literally only 2 that you meet. Like, sure, there could be others, but it is shown that they are different from the others, because you go see a lot of furries and scalies and other anthropomorphic animals, but you don't really see any skeletons. Like, those are the only 2, and
Okay, so you're referring to there only being 2 skeletons in the underground as fact as per the game.
Yes.
Yes, because that's where you need to be careful about throwing around the word fact.
Here, hold on 1 second. My dogs are barking again.
My goodness, Loch. You need to keep those dogs in a leash.
Yeah.
You let the dogs out, Primal. Old
Speaking of the Royal Guard, which is filled with dogs.
Yes?
The Royal Guard Undyne and the Royal Guard must be showing up at his house or something. And yes, one of the things Galactic Moonwolf does bring up is Gaster, who was in the game files and is inferred to also be a skeleton, but there is no concrete evidence for that.
Really? Could
I
you
have some old memes?
Could you speak more about that? About Gaster being in the game?
So, hidden in the game files is a sprite named WD Gaster, and if you tweak the fun file, the fun part of the game files, you will get different results. Some of his quote-unquote followers giving vague warnings like, "I needn't gossip. It's rude to talk about someone who's listening." And he's shown us as some sort of ominous entity who fell into the core, which he created, and was scattered across space and time. And
interesting.
It is commonly inferred by the fan base that he is the father of Sans and Papyrus.
Are there any further links to that in the storyline?
Not really. The only things that show are the followers, and also there is a secret room where if you walk in, you see him, but when you interact with him, he just makes a weird sound and fades away.
Interesting.
He's also secretly Ness.
No, that's Sans.
I know. I'm making a joke.
Well, your jokes don't usually generate much laughter.
I know.
Anyways, enough about me. I think people are getting tired of hearing my voice right now. How about you talk, Allie? You're the host after all.
Well, I do like to hear others' opinions.
Yeah.
Look, I did touch upon your wanting to talk about Skyrim. Are you referring then mostly to the vampires and werewolf, or also the dragonkin?
Neither. I just want to talk about Skyrim's lore in general, because that's what the whole point of this live stream is. Us just talking about lore and RPGs. Of course, if we were talking...
the whole point about this live stream is to go deeper into how certain mythological creatures are portrayed in games versus the actual general mythology.
Okay.
As the title says.
Well, yeah, you could say that... I'm not prepared for this at all, but Skyrim does have a lot of mythological creatures in it, and yeah. I was not prepared for this. I thought we were just talking about lore in general going in, but...
Well, I did explain to you before the live stream.
So, well, basically, in the case of Skyrim, yeah, you said we got dragons, which did you know that dragons, the reason that dragons, you see them across all cultures is because they're basically the whole idea of a dragon is that it is the combination of some of the deadliest creatures known to man. It's reptilian. It's basically a combination between a hawk, a snake, and I think that's the only two. I can't remember. I saw it on like Vsauce 3. They were talking about it, how it was basically a combination of like early man's probably most feared creatures that would threaten humans the most.
Well, you also need to remember we do have Komodo dragons.
Yeah, but that's named after the dragon itself. It's
yes,
not one
but
of
at
the
the
things
same
that
point, you say that they're based on creatures that are quite deadly.
Yeah.
Among other animals. And a Komodo dragon spit is highly deadly. Look, if that gets in your bloodstream, you're practically dead.
Yeah. That might be the third one. I don't know.
And stories like that do happen to have a tendency to loop around.
Yeah.
Like later on, we've had dragons based off of the Komodo dragon that were named after the mythological creature dragon.
Yeah.
How does the dragons act in Skyrim, though?
They basically just swoop down and attack at random. Some shoot fire, some shoot ice. They're all pretty easy to kill, except for the main boss one.
What type of dragons would you say are most prominent in Skyrim?
Fire.
The fire-breathing one?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know what to say.
You don't know what to say?
I've never really given much thought into Skyrim's actual, like, I've given some into the lore, but not into the actual mythical creatures in Skyrim. Like, they're just, a lot of them are just kind of, like, the thing is, you see werewolves and skeletons and you see them in just about every fantasy game out there. Like, here, name one fantasy game that does not have at least one of those. And don't say Half-Life.
Half-Life. Portal.
Well, I guess they have aliens that shoot fire. That's kind of the same thing.
When Portal.
Those aren't actually really fantasy. Half-Life is kind of fantasy.
I would say that Portal is more sci-fi.
Yeah.
Futuristic.
I'd rather talk about those games because I know more about them.
Yeah, but unless they contain mythological creatures, they wouldn't really fit in with the stream.
There is some mythological themes in Portal 2. Like a lot of Portal 2 is actually highly based off of the legend of Prometheus. In the Greek legend, Prometheus was a god who came down to Earth to help share knowledge with humans. One of those those things that he taught humans was how to create fire. However, what happened was the gods found out about this and punished him by banishing him to hell, where he was strapped to a mountain and he was left there to be eaten alive by some eagles. And in Portal 2, you sort of see a similar. You see a lot of themes from that story kind of sprinkled around through there. You have like, for instance, the underground aperture from the 1960s area known as Test Shaft 09. There's a massive concrete pillar helping hold up that area up, and on the side it says Tartarus, and Tartarus is like the name of hell, I believe, in Greek mythology. And
hell does have many names.
Yeah.
Although Galactic Moonwolf says, except for one of the dragons, one of the dragons helps you. Have you met upon that dragon in Skyrim?
Oh yeah, several times. Or actually, there are two that help you, but one of them has to kind of be coerced by capturing it and putting it inside of Whiterun. But I won't spoil it. But yeah.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I do have one example, but it's more in a show than a game or mythology, but it has to do with dragons, of course.
Okay.
Well, it would fit with general mythology. What's the story?
Is it from
Blackfoot.
Dragon Tales?
Oh, Blackfoot. No, we're not going to go into that.
Okay, then.
That's for next live stream. But,
no, it's not for next live stream either. We basically don't have enough time magic for that. You know what I'm referring to. Don't you, Primal?
Yeah. Like, time magic doesn't work on him. Yeah, time magic doesn't work on dragons.
Yeah.
So back to Portal 2, you have Tartarus. Then there's the what fans have dubbed the Oracle turret, where you can find this turret that basically spills some facts about the Prometheus legend and then kind of foreshadows the rest of the story, where GLaDOS was put into a potato and then thrown down Test Shaft 09 and then picked apart by birds, much like the legend, and was and yeah. Also, Atlas, one of the two robots from the cooperative, is Atlas is the name of Prometheus's brother, and
oh yeah, Atlas, the guy that holds up the world on his shoulders.
Yeah, and okay, there was one other thing to mention is that they also say that in Greek legend, heaven is a lot like a cornfield or something, and you end up, and at the very end you end up rising up in an elevator with tons of turrets singing, and you end up in a farm field thing.
Well, that seems rather boring for heaven.
Yeah.
Although, let's go back to Skyrim. There's the possibility of playing as both as a vampire or a werewolf, and I've also heard that if you get bitten by a vampire first, then get turned into a werewolf and die, you can possibly become a hybrid. Have you experienced that?
No. I became a vampire once after being infected, and then I went through the Dawnguard DLC and got to the castle where the vampire guy lives. He gave me the ability to become the mega vampire Incredible Hulk person. I didn't use it that much, and I eventually decided that I just want to go cure my vampirism, and so I just did that over near Rorikstead.
Well, I have heard that if you become infected, but then get bitten by a werewolf before you end up dying, you'll end up being a hybrid, and that's rather interesting. It's kind of like in the Underworld movies, where you have vampires fighting against werewolves, and then there's the theory that Dracula had 3 sons. That one was bitten by a bat, one was bitten by a werewolf, and one stayed kind of pure, in lack of a better term, and would therefore be able to become whatever. And in the Underworld series, they do find a guy that is of that lineage, and he becomes infected with both and becomes a hybrid. If I remember correctly.
Interesting.
So I do like that link between newer views on mythology.
Yeah. So let's talk about JRPGs. What do you guys think? Have you guys played many JRPGs?
Like Final Fantasy?
Yeah, like Final Fantasy or Black Desert Online or any of those ones. Sword Art Online.
Oh, not played Black Desert Online. It's apparently a very addictive game, and I don't really have the time for that. Don't have time for many MMOs.
What about you, Primal? Have you played any of these?
Not really many MMOs. No, not any of those. But I have been thinking, and do you happen to know anything about human cat hybrids? Because I remember correctly, you played a game recently that had to do with that.
Oh yes, I haven't made a let's play of it, but I did finish a shorter game called Existential Kitty Cat RPG that I also gifted to another tuber, and they have made a let's play of that.
Yeah.
And in that game, there are, well, the two main characters, Louis and I don't remember the other one's name. They are partially cat hybrids, like one has the ears, the other one has the tail.
Neckos.
And how are cat hybrids usually portrayed in general mythology, or just in general?
Well, in general game settings, they're usually portrayed in a very lewd sense.
Yeah.
Like Nekopara. Just to put that out there, everybody knows about Nekopara. It's a lewd thing.
I don't think
And they have a lot of fun about
portraying
portraying cat people as a sexual object, often underage. Therefore, I'd like it if we strayed away from that topic.
All right, my bad. Sorry. Just an idea, you know.
But talking back about JRPGs, what do you guys think of JRPG tutorial levels?
Tutorial levels in JRPGs?
Yeah.
I'm not that much of a fan.
Me neither. Okay, this is kind of what I was waiting to talk about, because we were talking about this weeks ago. I want to save the rest of my thoughts for the stream. JRPG tutorial levels for me have been absolutely horrendous.
Really?
I've tried several MMO JRPGs, and I can never get past the tutorial levels, and thus I never end up getting to play the actual game. Okay, so here's three examples I got. We got Mabinogi, Black Desert Online, and Wakfu the game. Not
Wakfu as a game?
Yeah, as a game.
I thought it was only an anime.
It's not that good though.
Yeah.
I got bored of it.
Black Desert Online, I never ended up. Basically, the problem is that these tutorials, they basically make it extremely difficult or time-consuming, or just don't work at all. So you can never get.
Black Desert Online isn't a JRPG though; it's an RPG.
It is a JRPG. Trust me, I've played it.
No, it's an MMORPG.
I've played it. I know it's an MMO JRPG, but
no, it's an MMORPG.
I played it. I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, basically, the thing about this is that they're absolutely.
Do you know what a JRPG is?
Yes, Japanese RPG.
Yeah.
And that's what
and
it is.
And they have a certain style to it.
Yes, and
it's also become a category.
Black Desert Online has that style. I remember making my character several times, each time trying to get past the intro. Every single time I never can, because it's just absolutely terrible. I don't know where this trend comes from to make them. The whole idea is that they try to hold your hands through the intro part, but you can never actually go out and do stuff. Like think about
I will still say that Black Desert Online has more of a MMORPG classic style than a JRPG classic style.
Okay.
Just look at how it's made. If you look at the early Final Fantasy games, that's more of the classic JRPG style.
Okay.
And when talking about Final Fantasy, Do you know the plot and theme around it?
No, I don't. I haven't played many of these games, mainly because.
Well, the central conflict in many of those games are basically a huge focus on a group of characters battling an evil and sometimes ancient antagonist that dominates the game's world, which is quite common in games all over. But it also involves a sovereign state in rebellion, and another staple of that series is the existence of two villains.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting.
Here, I'm gonna go to serve mode on my Discord.
So this isn't a game, so to speak, but this is an example we could talk about if you want.
I wasn't quite done though.
Sorry.
They also have, among other things, a hero corrupted by evil force, mistaken identity, and self-sacrifice, and magical orbs and crystals are recurring in-game items. And magical orbs and crystals are quite an interesting topic.
Yeah. A lot of games.
What do you think of the witchcraft part of games?
A lot of entertainment has crystals in it. Like, hell, even look at Avengers Infinity War with the Infinity Stones. Or even Half-Life with the Zen crystals, or yeah, it's just something that.
Would you like to go in further detail about those crystals and orbs?
I'm just kind of touching on them. It's something that a lot of them do.
Well, touching a magical crystal inside a game isn't always advised, though.
Yeah.
I feel like I kind of feel like they are used a little too heavily, but at the same time, I think that it's still kind of a cool concept. They even have it in Star Wars. So yeah.
You also got the classical elemental monsters, like fire sprites, earth golems.
May I add something about Avengers?
Of course.
One thing that I find is very interesting is the inclusion of like characters from different mythologies in it. The most common and most well-known being Thor.
Oh yeah, his hammer.
Yeah, because they're Thor, Loki, all those guys. They are Norse. So,
yes.
And if I remember correctly, they also have a few of the Greek people like Ares, and I can't remember the other.
I think
Ares.
I think you're thinking of Wonder Woman.
No, like there's actually like Ares. There's a couple Greek gods and
Greek gods and other countries' gods, like gods from all over the world, are often placed together in games, but they're not from the same mythology.
Yeah, exactly.
What are your thoughts on
another thing about Thor, though? You know that wagon he drives around with? It's actually pulled by two rams that are quite special. You see, these rams, they can be slayed, killed, and cooked. But the only thing is that he does not permit anyone to gnaw on the bones, like suck out the marrow from the bones, because the next day these rams come back to life. In that mythology.
Huh. In Norse mythology?
Yes. Yeah. Those rams are basically a way for him to sustain himself whenever he goes traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Given you're from Norway, what are your thoughts on Thor in the Marvel comics?
They do portray him as more of a sissy than he actually is.
Because he was well known. Because, like, if I know correctly, people from that mythology are well-known warriors.
Oh, yes. Not to mention the Valkyries. Oh, the Valkyries are amazing. Mm-hmm. I do remember that during the Marvel movies, there is a Valkyrie found in a separate world, though, where she's no longer... Yeah. Where she's no longer taught or considering herself as a Valkyrie anymore, but gets persuaded to join back into the fight. Mm-hmm. Now, Valkyries, they are commonly depicted as heavenly-esque women that are warriors that come down onto the battlefield and, in a very lewd way, bring you back with them to Valhalla. I'll only say in a lewd way because we all know where I'm going with this. But in the Valhalla sense of the all, they are, among others, protectors of that realm. But you don't often see them in stories.
Yeah.
They mainly focus on the different gods and goddesses in the mythological sense of storytelling. But they're definitely warriors that do a lot around the place.
Right. And I know that they include a lot of like I said before, they include a lot of these mythologies and different places like Marvel. Like, for example, I know in this one episode in an Avengers cartoon, they included something about Valhalla. And
yeah,
isn't the person like, isn't it like Hala or something like that, the lady who runs it, and if you're sent there, you're sentenced to eternal battle?
not really.
Eternal battle sounds a lot like this world to me.
That's how it's portrayed there.
Yeah.
Like,
although with Odin, he is a very prominently mentioned god throughout the recorded history of Germanic peoples, all the way from Roman occupations of regions of Germania through tribal expansions of the migration period and the Viking Age.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, he's continued to be acknowledged in the rural folklore of Germanic Europe.
Yeah.
But do you know about the story about Hugin and Munin, his ravens?
No. What is the story?
Well, I don't remember the exact story, but it is said that for him to be so all-knowing as he is, I'm not gonna pull up the exact story either, but at one point, he made a trade. All kinds of knowledge in trade for his eyes. He does not have eyes. He is totally blind. His eyes are the ravens, Hugin and Munin. They bring information from all over Midgard and rides the and he himself often rides the flying eight-legged horse Sleipnir across the sky and into the underworld. Did you know that he actually does have parents in our mythology?
Huh.
Yeah, he's the son of Bestia and Bor. He even has two brothers, Vil and Ve.
Nice.
Yes.
I do see the whole seeing everything eyes thing. I do see that as sort of probably the inspiration behind Heimdall in the Marvel comics. Is Heimdall actually part of Norse mythology, or is?
Yes, Heimdall is part of Norse mythology.
Okay.
You got Midgard, Heimdall, Valhalla. There's plenty of levels of worlds in that sense.
Yeah.
Although we did touch upon the Valkyries.
Yeah.
In Old Norse text, female beings associated with the battlefield, the Valkyries, are associated with the god Odin and oversees Valhalla, as protectors of that realm, as I said. And he receives half of those who die in battle, the Einherjar, who they are named, and the other half are chosen by the goddess Freya for her afterlife location, Folkvanger. There's a lot of weird names in that mythology that are quite difficult to pronounce, even for Norwegians.
Yeah.
Because it was a different language back then, mind you. But Odin has also inspired numerous works of poetry and music and other forms of media. Did you, by the way, know that the symbol for Bluetooth is both made from and named after Viking? They actually use the runes in Bluetooth. That the runes in Bluetooth actually means Bluetooth. And is named after a Viking that was named Bluetooth. Or Blåtann, as it would be in Norwegian.
That does remind me of another story I heard. You see, I'm a bit of a history nerd. I watched a video about the history of Poland, and there was I heard that there was this one folk tale that there were these three brothers, Czech, Rus, and Pole, I think. They basically went to found Czechia, Poland, and Russia.
Yeah.
Their descendants. They all went out hunting one day, and they all separated on their paths, and one ended up where he would found Czechia, one ended up where Poland is, and one ended up in Russia. And the one who went to found Poland, he went out chasing an eagle, and he saw the eagle land on a branch against the red sky, and that's kind of what their flag is based off of. Red on top, white on bottom, red sky basically. And and also you see in Poland, it's a big thing with eagles and eagle imagery. So yeah.
Yeah. But maybe we should go back in that game after all. Like the chef in Grillby's. Isn't he a fire elemental primal?
Yep, he's a fire elemental, and there is also in Scotland. There's one or two other there's two fire girls who are also fire elementals. One's green, one is purple.
Would you like to tell us a little bit more about them?
So Grillby himself is a bartender and who manages his own restaurant.
He was a chef.
Yeah, he manages his restaurant called Grillby's, where he serves drinks except water because he doesn't touch the stuff.
Of course not.
Yeah, but he serves food, and he probably uses fire magic. Not 100% sure because game doesn't give much thorn on him, but he's shown as just another friendly bartender chef, while the two girls are shown as students, little schoolgirls going to school. And when you see them, they're like, "Aw, that's a shame. We can't go to school because we're blocked by puzzles." So they're pretty much shown as regular basic
anime
schoolgirls.
I wouldn't say anime, but yeah, basic schoolgirls indeed.
Yeah.
Very basic.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another good example from that game.
Now, we were planning to have another character with us here as well to talk about Wendigos, but I guess that'll be in a different episode.
Yeah, we'll save that for part 2. She said she invited like 3 other people, but none of them showed up, and so we got Primal.
Well,
here
they all
instead.
had separate reasons. Things come up. You know how it is.
Yeah, I know.
It's not always that easy to make things happen.
I know.
Oh yeah. Galactic Moon Wolf also brings up another character, Heat's Flameman. Pretty much when you first meet him, he's like, "Hey, my name's Heat's Flamesman. Remember my name." And then when you meet him again, he says, "Did you remember my name?" And then if you remember, you'll say, I'll always remember that you remembered. Or if he forgets, I'll never forget that you forgot.
Well, that seems like a funny inside joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
Although I did intend for this stream to last 2 hours, but it seems we'll only go for 1 hour.
Right. How about goats?
Goats, yeah, sure. We do have 10 more minutes to encompass with. Although I wouldn't call them a mythological creature per se, even though we do have mythological half goats.
Okay, then I do have. I can talk about some of the mythological background in Undertale.
Yeah.
Because there's a bit of a mythological side. So you'll see this symbol throughout the game called the Delta Rune, and a turtle sales shopkeeper named Garrison, I think his name is. He talks about how it's. I don't have a picture. I'll try to find a picture, but pretty much it's supposed to represent what a lot of people think of as a prophecy where an angel will fall down and free everyone trapped in the underground, and some hypothesize that in it the pair of wings is said angel.
Galactic Moonwolf says, yeah, it's Gerson.
Yeah, let's see. See, how can I do this?
You have more info on that? That's actually quite interesting.
Yep, give me a minute here. All right.
Yeah, as for me, I don't know much about mythical versions of goats. All I know is that they're basically sentient lawnmowers, and there's some in the there's some next to my neighborhood.
Really now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe it's something along the lines of right here, these are the wings which represent the angel, and I think these 3 triangles, can't remember exactly, they're either the prophecy or they represent the mountain that they are trapped under.
Or they're the Triforce.
Yeah, 1 second. I'll make this the big image so that you can say a little bit more about that. Isn't that the Triforce?
No, that's not the Triforce.
It reminds me of the Triforce from the Zelda games.
And a Triforce, this bottom triangle would be right side up and not upside down, because if you try to get the Triforce...
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it did remind me of it, though. Please go back to the previous window and explain a little bit further on it.
Yeah. So like I was saying, it's pretty much the... It pretty much represents the prophecy of the angel coming down and freeing them all, because... A bit of background, what happened was they were trapped down by humans, and unfortunately the only thing that could free them was a human, or actually 7 human souls. So they had...
I do remember that from the game.
Yeah. So they had collected 6, but there was talk about an angel coming down and being the 7th to free them all. And that may have been the prophecy of someone coming down and free them beforehand, but as they got more and more souls, until they finally got up to 6, more people started wanting to believe in the prophecy. And this emblem here, you actually see on everyone's favorite goat moms.
So you're going to say this is more related to the idea of the pacifist route?
Mm-hmm. More than genocide, because we don't like to talk about the genocide.
Yeah, we don't like to talk about the genocide.
Yeah, because in this case, this would be considered a fallen angel, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but a fallen angel is someone who has strayed from the path of an angel and gone a more, offset route, if you know what I mean.
Commonly, yes.
They're demons. Destroy the child.
No,
actually, not really.
Fallen angels are not demons, but they do more coalesce on that side of evil and good.
Course says, she says she loves genocide.
Destroy the child.
Wow, isn't she a little murderous little one?
Oh my god.
You're still screwed. There you go.
Yeah, just some interesting background. How games always try. How there are games out there that have their own mythology. Like that was an interesting little prophecy there. It did. It sort of, yeah, it added more to the story.
Indeed. So, see, we've touched mainly on Undertale and Skyrim, among other things. Skeletons, fish people, mermaids, dragons, werewolves, vampires, and fire elementals mainly.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be a good way to start up this series, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we have about 4 minutes left, I presume, so... Anything else you guys would like to add?
Nah, I'm good.
Nothing to add?
And hello, memes of destruction. Yeah. You'll find that there are all sorts of different implementations, even not even just in games and like TV shows as well, how mythology is commonly adapted to all sorts of different types of things, like some like in shonen like Wakfu and Undertale, skeletons and dragons can be good instead of just evil, like most commonplace.
They can be rather good, yes.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting because sometimes people in mythologies, like there are these other creatures that are portrayed as almost like not necessarily superior, but a lot more compassionate, empathetic, and more kind than humans are. And I find that rather interesting.
It is rather interesting. Yeah. And once I've wrapped up this video, your 2 channels will also be viewable in the description alongside that movie I was talking about, that science fiction thing about mermaids.
Thank you very much.
Yes. It's only respectful.
Yeah.
Now, Memes Introduction says, Gamer theory states that at some point life will be represented in the form of a game, book, or other form of media. Isn't it already so, though?
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah. Also, sub to me, I need more subs.
Loch, you can ask for that in your own video, you know.
Okay.
It helps to be humble about that sort of thing.
Yes.
I am humble. I barely ever ask for that.
You shouldn't be asking for that in somebody else's stream. That's gonna make them want to not have you on again.
Okay.
It's kind of like standing outside of Walmart and screaming, "Hey, buy some stuff!"
Yeah, it's kind of redundant.
That'd actually be pretty entertaining. That would actually be pretty entertaining.
That seems to be it for today's stream. I'll hope you tune in again next time, and have a good hoot!